Hey, have you heard about Anchor? You probably haven't heard about Anchor yet, so let me tell you about it. Anchor is the easiest way to make a podcast. You probably hear other people talk about how they make podcasts. If they say it's easy, they're crazy. All of their methods are really hard and complicated, but Anchor, super simple. First off, it's free. They have creation tools that let you make the podcast right from your phone. You don't even need a computer. This is 2019. Who uses computers anymore? Anchor distributes your podcast on all the other platforms. No need to go do all that complicated searching and hosting and posting. Hosting and posting. They do it for you. You can also make money from your podcast. Well, that's what I'm doing right now, because you're listening to this ad. They've got everything you need to make a podcast in one spot. No need to search around all over the place. No need to go to 20 different sites. Just one. Download the free Anchor app or go to anchor.fm to get started. Bet you thought I was going to sing right here, didn't you?
Are you looking for the hottest news out of the obstacle racing scene? Want to stay up to date on the freshest info, the latest podiums, and hear interviews with the who's who in OCR? Well, you've come to the wrong place. Well, some of that you'll find here. But we're not the media. This is not ORM, OCM, OCRM, ORCM. This is OCR Talk.
Hello, this is Jason Dupree.
And I'm Anna Landry.
And this is episode 28 of OCR Talk. This episode is coming a little later than we had originally planned on, but some crazy stuff has been going on the past few weeks in OCR. And as much as I think we've just been a little busy. I went down to San Antonio and raced last weekend.
Yeah, and then I had a impromptu trip to Colorado over the weekend.
Yep, I was hoping to record while I was out there, but yeah, you went out there. What'd you do? You said you drove up and then flew back?
I drove up and then I flew back. I found like a super cheap flight back on the Sunday.
Nice.
So yeah, I had never driven that myself. Actually, whenever I was 14, we took a camping trip up to Yellowstone. Me and my godmother did, and so we drove from Dallas up to Yellowstone, and we stopped at campsites all along the way. So that was the last time I ever drove out that way.
Yeah, how long is that to Yellowstone?
It was, we were on the road for a good 2.5 weeks worth, but we were like stopping all along the way.
Okay.
So, if you were to do the drive straight, it would be at least, I would venture to guess, like 26 hours.
I did from New Orleans to Rocky Mountain National Park. That was a good 24 hours or so.
Yeah, and that's roundabout where we drove to. The drive actually took about 17, 18 hours. Yeah, and then I flew back to Lafayette Sunday afternoon.
Do you fly in and out of Lafayette?
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
I've never used that airport before.
They have a terminal that goes straight to Denver now. So it was relatively new. So it was pretty exciting whenever they built that.
Okay, before we talk about San Antonio, the Spartan race that was this past weekend.
Mm-hmm.
The last episode we did, was it right before?
It was right after Jacksonville, right before Alabama.
Have you raced any since then?
Nope.
Have you been running since then?
Yeah, I've actually been running and I've been training, and I'm sticking with Miles and training with his training program and everything, him and Victor, and then also doing some stuff outside of that on my own as well, like some Camp Gladiator stuff. And
you should take my training plan, because I beat Miles at San Antonio.
Shots fired! Shots fired!
I actually did, and that's the first time that I've ever beaten Miles. And I'd like to talk about that a little more when we get to talking about San Antonio. But I've never beaten Victor, so if he's part of that, then we all
Well,
know.
yeah. You might have to be training a little more.
Yeah. Might have to be getting
I
some
mean,
new
why
legs.
haven't you yet? Why haven't you yet? I mean, like, are you slacking?
So yeah, my training has been a little on the slacking side. I had some sinus cold going on, and I went out and ran when I shouldn't had probably, and so it got worse, and so I did stop actually training for a bit. And I've also got what I can't help but worry that might be a stress fracture in my shin. So I'm kind of
Mm,
trying to stay off of it a little bit too. Like it's not a bad pain, but it's enough that it's like there's something that's not right there. So I'm thinking right now I've got like my next race is terrain, and then after that is just a regular Tougher Mudder, and the one in College Station, and then I think
yeah.
after that is Conquer the Gauntlet. So I really have a good solid 2 months where I don't have any big like important to me races. So I think I might take a good 2, maybe 3 or 4 weeks where I just don't run, just do some lifting and stuff.
Yeah, that's kind of what I've been focusing on ever since that injury kind of plagued me after my 100K. I
Hmm.
was really scared to get back into it and like start overtraining again and then get hurt again. Like I think my longest run so far has been just like 8 miles so far.
Hmm.
I'm building it back up. I'm trying to be smart about it this time. And there was a Badlands 50 race out in Mississippi, and I was thinking about jumping into that prior to getting hurt. And it would be it would because it would have been coming back from my beach trip in April, and I'm kinda glad I didn't sign up for that now. Even though I heard it was a really fun race and it's a really good race put on by Q50. Q50 acquired it actually. They're in charge of it now. But yeah, I'm kinda glad I didn't sign up for it.
Well, that's the real problem, though, right? Is that this? It's just so much fun. As much
Yeah,
as I feel like I need to give my body time to rest and then train back up properly instead of doing all these really long races. Like I
right.
did that the 25 miles of that 50 miler, and it didn't bother me during the race, but it gave me that same pain. It just seems like it's something that's not going away. It doesn't feel like it's getting worse. It just doesn't seem like it's going away, and
Yeah.
I'm worried that I might do something that will make it worse.
Yeah, and actually, I was supposed to have a race this past weekend, the 23rd and 24th. It was supposed to be that 100-mile relay out in Chico.
Oh yeah.
My team was just kind of plagued with injuries, and
Oh.
it was just kind of convenient because I was really struggling with that decision. I was like, man, I'm coming off an injury. Like my longest run has only been 8 miles, and now I'm gonna have
Hmm.
to like hold my own while my team and I try and run 100. But yeah, it all worked out for the best, and I was kind of bummed that I didn't get to do the 100-mile relay, but there's always next year.
Amelia Boone is, I feel like, has become a poster child for how to deal with injury. She's been having, seems like, back to back injuries over the course of the past few years, and she's in an injury right now. And
Yeah.
she's had to really deal with what do you do with that? And
Yeah.
how do you stay positive, and how do you keep yourself from going out and doing too much more to make it worse? So, really
Yeah.
trying to
And
focus on that.
especially as you get older, and I mean, of course, we're not the professional athletes that this is our job and our living depends on us
Hmm.
competing in this sport. But as you do get older and those injuries start to hang around a little bit longer, you start getting more hesitant about, okay, do I really need to sign up for this race, or is it really worth it that I do this? Because you start thinking about like the long-term effects and what kind of impact it's going to have on you in the future. Like I don't want to be crippled and like walking like I'm 80 when I'm 40.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
I
taking care of yourself is important.
right, right. I haven't had surgery since I was a kid, and that was non-orthopedic related, so I'd like to keep it that way.
And it's funny because we do this to keep our bodies healthy, but
Yeah.
we push too far and then,
Yeah.
go off the other side.
That's the irony of it all.
I want to go ahead and do the giveaway for the socks. But before we do, I wanted to mention, the whole reason why we're doing this, and the more money we get from whatever, the more we're going to give away. And it's always going to, that's what I want to make sure we keep it as. We're just giving stuff away. It may be little, it may be a lot, but we're going to give away whatever we can. So we're starting off small. We got ads that play before the podcast. We've got the Spreadshop site that you can buy stuff from, which has only had 2 sales, which were both me and my wife.
You and April.
and and then now, just today, Kevin Harkins was asking me, hey, do you have a referral code for Endure Elite? Because he wanted to get some and get a discount. And I didn't, so I went and looked up. They used to do where you can get points for your rewards program, but now it's just straight up ambassador, like, here's your 10% off code.
Yeah.
So I made that. So we have one. If you order from Endure Elite and you want 10% off, I'm sure there's 1,000 other places you can get this, but we've got a referral code. It's REF10-OCR Talk. You put that in and you get 10% off, and we get a little cut of it. So that'll all be going to the giveaways as well.
And everyone needs some Endure Elite in their lives.
I have been sticking with taking Endure Elite in the morning, Perform Elite in the morning.
Yeah.
And I'm still really enjoying it. Like, it still depends on my level of energy. Like, if it lasts all day, I might still get sleepy, but it feels like it gives me just a different kind of boost all day long.
Yeah, I got brave and I took it. I hadn't taken it in the morning, but I took it before this CrossFit class that I had signed up for at Raging CrossFit here in Lafayette. I signed up for a class, and it's kind of like a cardio CrossFit kind of style class where you do CrossFit moves, but it's like a HIIT style.
Oh,
I don't know. It's kind of a hybrid class that they offer.
that's cool.
But I knew it was going to be fast and intense, and I knew it was going to be a hard workout, but it was only going to be an hour. So I bravely tried taking my Perform Elite, just the regular Perform Elite. I didn't take the Perform Elite X, but I took because it has more caffeine. So I did make that decision between the two. So I took the regular Perform Elite before the class, and I actually didn't have trouble sleeping that night.
Because you took it in the morning?
Well, no, I took it before the class. Oh, the class was at 6 p.m.
Oh, okay.
The class was at 6 o'clock in the afternoon on a Thursday, and I'm like, if I don't go to sleep tonight, I'm just going to have to tough it out and just stay awake all night long. But, yeah, I mean, granted, I went to bed kind of later than usual. I went to bed like around 10-ish, 10 or 11-ish, which is way later than what I usually go to bed.
I'm still really looking forward to the sleep aid that they're going to put out and see how that does.
Yeah.
Not that I need it, but I know my wife could really use it. And I do wake up a lot during the night, even though it's very short seconds or whatever. But
yeah,
maybe it'll keep me from doing that. Maybe I'll sleep deeper. I don't know.
Maybe so.
Our giveaway, we got some socks. I got them ordered. I don't have them in yet, but they should be in any day now. From what I told them, I just want black with the OCR Talk logo all over it. They might be garbage socks. They might be amazing. I don't know. We have yet to see.
It's going to be a surprise.
I did get two pair because that's kind of the amount of money that we've had enough for. And I haven't decided, do we want to give away 2 pair or do I want a pair for my... Well, no, I take that back. The amount of money that we spent was money from our earnings for OCR Talk for the podcast. So yes, we are definitely going to give away 2 pair. So we can do this one of 2 ways. Before I even look at the numbers and know who won, I know, closest to the number that we thought up, 1 out of 1 million is the winner that gets 1 pair. But should the other pair be the next closest person or the person furthest away?
Well, let's do it different, and let's do it the person furthest away.
Okay, that's kind of what I was thinking too.
Yeah, just to mix it up a little bit.
Cool. We got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 entries. I'm pretty sure I wrote everybody's down. The funny thing about it is the very first person that entered got the closest.
Yeah.
So the number out of 1 million that you came up with, any reason behind this number?
I just pulled the number out of thin air.
In comparison to 1 million, it's kind of on the low side.
Yeah,
Was there a reason for that, or?
No, I just started with a number, and I started thinking of another number, and then another number after that.
Okay. So the number was 47,638, and the winner was Obstacles Ahead from Instagram with 33,365. So Obstacles Ahead, I'm not sure who that is, to be honest. And I'll feel bad if it's somebody I should know, but somebody that we know on Instagram. So I'll get in touch with them and let them know. I'm sure they'll hear this. So congratulations, Obstacles Ahead.
Yay.
You'll get a pair. And then on the other side of the spectrum, I think anybody below 100,000 they're all obviously not on the farthest end because that's so low already.
Yeah.
So the furthest away was actually Will Raymond with 777,777.
Lucky
I said that
seven.
wrong. 777,777.
Yeah.
So he just typed 7 a bunch of times.
Yes.
Until his keyboard stopped.
Yeah. Kind of like how I came up with a number.
Will Raymond, who is a Mud Gear ambassador, I don't know what he does for them exactly. I mean, I know he's made a video for them, but I don't know if he's got any official title with them or not. But he'll put them on and be like, these are nowhere near as good as Mud Gear. Maybe he can do a comparison video and show how much they suck, but it'll put our name out there. I don't know, whatever.
So Obstacles Ahead on Instagram is Mike Crimmins.
Mike Crimmins.
Yes.
Good job, Mike. Very first guess.
Congrats.
And Will just got his number in today.
Oh.
Like just this
Coming
morning.
in
so
under the wire.
Is it too late?
No.
So, I don't know. It might be a little bit before we get some more monies since we spent it all on socks. So I don't know what the next giveaway will be.
That just goes to show you never know when the next giveaway will be, and you never know how long it's going to go for. So keep submitting.
Yeah, and barely anybody's entering. So
Right.
If you enter, you got a really good shot.
1 in 6 chance. And we had a bonus prize today. So
Yep.
there you go. Bam.
Double your chances for $0. Anchor, the podcasting service that we're using, which is free and is the reason why we have an ad before the podcast, is the fact that it's free is the whole reason why we're able to not spend money on it and give money, use money that we get to give away. They just recently added in just some metrics to show where people are listening from. So pretty interesting to see. Not so surprising to see that most people are listening from Apple Podcast, but second largest group is actually on Spotify.
That would not have been my next guess.
Exactly. That was surprising to me. I don't think I've heard a person say, hey, I listen to the podcast on Spotify.
Yeah.
Apparently people do.
I saw somebody next to me on the plane on the way here, on the way back to Lafayette. I saw somebody listening to a podcast on iHeartRadio. We're on iHeartRadio too. Just in case you were wondering.
I don't know what the next largest is. It says other. I don't know what that could be, but Stitcher and Android and Google Podcasts are pretty small groups. Other could be a mixture of a few. iPhone definitely had the biggest impact. 61% of people that are listening to us are on iPhones, and then 20% of people are on Androids, but also people on Windows. So people are just listening through website, I guess.
Nice.
It's actually really cool to see 29 different countries.
29?
So all over the world, 29. All over the world, people are listening to us.
That's pretty cool. Maybe that's because we're the only OCR podcast to listen to.
Yeah, that's probably why. Everybody's like, man, I would just wish there was more OCR content that I could eat up. So since there's not, I might as well listen to OCR talk because that's all there is.
We're the only one offering an OCR podcast.
So check this out. United States, obviously, a lot of people from there. Most people from here. United Kingdom, Canada, France, Spain, Sweden, Denmark, Germany, Austria, Austria, Ireland, Philippines, Netherlands, Finland, Russia, Hong Kong, Puerto Rico, United Arab Emirates. That's it. United Arab Emirates,
South Africa, India, Switzerland, Italy, Man, this is getting boring. Might as well keep going, though. Italy, Norway, Greece, Malaysia, Costa Rica, Mongolia, Poland, Singapore, and Barbados. That's most everywhere. I mean,
I'm gonna take credit for 2 of those countries.
Oh, yeah?
Because I have cousins in Singapore and the Philippines.
Nice. That's cool.
And they're super.
Hello, Anna's cousins,
Hi.
if you're listening.
They haven't seen me since I was 2 years old.
What's their names?
Oh gosh, there's too many of them, really? It's probably longer than the list that you just rattled off.
Should we look up races out there and go?
Oh, trust me, I've already looked. I've already looked at like some Spartan races that they're having in the Philippines, and I'm all about going to a race over there one of these days.
All right. Next year?
Yes.
All right, let's do it. Next year in the Philippines. OCR talk.
Yes. And apparently one of my cousins has a resort out there, so I'm like, hello, why haven't I gone yet? Exactly.
Okay.
Why haven't I gone yet? I can stay at the resort, go do a race wherever it's at. I'm sure it's just an island away or something.
That sounds awesome.
Right?
All right, let's do it.
Don't count on me being able to speak the language, though. So just...
Okay, you ready to talk about San Antonio?
Let's get into it.
So you didn't get to go.
Nope.
Why not?
I
know you had your surprise trip to Colorado, but you weren't planning on going in the first place.
No, I wasn't, because that was the same weekend that the 100-mile relay was going to be on. And
that's right.
So that's why I hadn't signed up for Spartan San Antonio. And then it did kind of cross my mind, well, maybe I should sign up last minute, but then I no. It kind of stressed me out thinking about.
Well, San Antonio also just got added to the calendar when? What, like a couple months ago? I mean, it hadn't been long.
Well, I think just the location hadn't been really finalized yet.
Yeah.
So I think they were still waiting to do that. So how was the venue?
And I wasn't planning on going until that 50-miler or the 30-miler got canceled again.
Yeah.
Or canceled for real this time.
Right.
But yeah, the venue, I think it was like Dan's Ranch or something like that. I forget what it was called, but it was very similar to Austin, the Austin race in Burnett. But it was, I would say that the landscape was just as dry, but more unsure footing, like not rocky, but dirt rather than rocky and hard. Like in Austin, you run up that big hill and it's just solid rock.
Right.
So I'd say there was less of that and more shifty, dry land. But it was a good venue where the sprint was fairly flat, but then the super half of it actually had a little bit of elevation. Not a lot, not like Austin, but and I'd say not even like Dallas, which is funny, but definitely had a little bit of elevation more in the super. And the super, the size of the super versus the sprint is kind of funny in itself, because back in the day, sprints used to be anywhere from 3 to 5+ miles.
Right.
You might have gotten a 5-mile sprint. Now that sprint was right at 3.1 or something like that.
Wow, it was like right at a 5K.
Right. Whereas the super is supposed to be right at 8 miles, and the supers used to be anywhere from 7 to
10,
upwards
7 to
of
10.
12.
Yeah.
I mean, you remember Alabama back in the day? There was one of those years that it was definitely almost 12 miles.
Definitely almost 12 miles.
Which was crazy.
Right.
So, but it's still funny to see the difference and see that a super it's not twice as long as a sprint. It's 5 miles more than a sprint.
Right.
In this case, it was actually more like 7.5. It wasn't quite 8, maybe 7 3/4. But it was good though. It was an enjoyable race, enjoyable venue. Their course markings was on it the entire way. Like, other than this creek that we went through, there was tape the entire way.
Yeah, which is pretty typical if you have like a water crossing or something like that.
There's no need because you're in a gully. It really there was nowhere that I seen that you could have gotten off course. The festival area was great. It was a little confusing of a layout. Like I kind of kept getting lost, but there was a lot of stuff. Like there was a lot going on, which is cool. Like it really seems like Spartans, I don't know, they're really putting a lot into it. And, a lot of different races talk about the festival area being such a great time, but I really saw that here. Saw a lot going on. And
so like a lot of vendors and things to do and...
Yeah, there was even like a spear throw practice, which is the first time I've seen them
Nice.
do that, which is cool.
That's cool.
Actually, it was kind of neat when you first walk in after registration. You walk under the A-frame. So the A-frame was right next to the merch tent. So the merch tent was a covered area in case it rained, which is perfect. And you walk under the A-frame, so people are climbing over you as you're walking in or out, and then you walk through the merch tent, and then you're in the festival area.
That's cool. I always like when they build a festival like that. It's such a simple thing to do, but it's just cool.
And it was a simple layout, and it didn't feel too spread out either.
Mm-hmm.
Like to get from one side of it to the other didn't feel that bad.
How was the weather?
It was, so running in the morning, running age group, it was 60 degrees both days.
That's nice.
Cloudy, gray clouds. But then on the second day, it was drizzly. It was actually a little warmer, but it was just, there was a drizzle in the air. So everything was wet and damp. So while the first day was dry and fantastic, I mean, perfect temperature, since I haven't been training so great, I don't think that my figure is as beautiful as I'd like it to be. So I was planning on possibly running with a shirt on. But once I started warming up, I was like, no, there's no way. If I'm running and actually keeping a decent pace, I'm gonna melt if I wear a shirt.
Yeah.
So it was really nice. I'd say it was a good weekend for it. Like sometimes the weather can be too cold and people are miserable and stuff, but it was good.
So the sun wasn't out, but it was at least not terrible weather conditions.
Right. If you're standing around wearing a light jacket, you felt great. Now that drizzle though on the second day really gave a lot of people trouble on the course. Mostly on the monkey bars. The monkey bars being towards the end of the race, they were the second last obstacle right before the fire jump, and they were flat across. Like how in recently years they've had monkey bars that are at differing levels.
Mm-hmm.
They weren't like that, but they were further apart than I feel like they've ever been in other races that I've been to.
Mm.
So they were actually kind of more difficult than they normally are, especially when it came to being wet. Great race overall. Spartan unfortunately keeps getting plagued with rule issues. So there was a whole issue with John
Penland.
Mm-hmm. Penland. He jumped over the fire too far on the end of it and actually stepped beside it rather than over it and got penalized 10 minutes for that.
And he was in first place, insane. Right? Technically,
he was behind. He was right behind the first place guy.
Okay.
Him and Hunter Russell.
Okay, because they were saying how one foot didn't go over the fire because they got him for skirting, which is stupid.
Yeah.
The fire jump.
And that's fine. That's a rule, but my biggest problem, I think even other people, mostly agree. Like even Matt B. Davis has said this. The biggest problem is that there's no ref there to say, hey, you did that wrong. This is a multi-attempt obstacle. Go back and do it again. Instead, it took them an hour before he even found out from another racer that he had a penalty. So if you're gonna actually have rules that say, like if it said it was a one-try obstacle, then okay. But the rules say it's a multi-attempt obstacle, and if you fail it, you can go back and do it. And that was not the case because he finished the race and thought he was good. It blows my mind that Robert Coble was not there at the finish when the first two guys were coming across.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm sure he's got a ton of stuff to do, but it just seems crazy that somebody...
Like some kind of official should be waiting at the finish, to make those kind of calls.
Somewhere in the last group of obstacles, at least.
Right. I mean, personally, I think Caitlin may have talked about it whenever, or maybe kind of alluded to it whenever she was saying, like, I don't know that it really should be considered an obstacle at Spartans. I mean, it's just kind of, their signature finish line thing. You can't really, there's no way to really like skip it or have some kind of technique that will put you ahead of the guy in front of you. Like,
Right. There's no way to do it faster or slower, basically.
Him so-called skirting that obstacle, I don't think was giving him any kind of advantage over Hunter. Like it's not going to, give him any kind of advantage in the race. That one I think should be called back. Like they should. I know it's all said and done and everything, but I don't agree with that call at all.
There are plenty of ways to fix these issues. And is Spartan doing that? Yes. Could they be doing a better job of it? Obviously, we all know they could because we're the people sitting back at home figuring out, pouring over it in our after time and figuring out the better way to do it. But that's besides the point. Yes, they can definitely, there's definitely ways to handle it. And even Savage Race has been asking in their groups, should they take out the fire jump at the end? Why is it there? Is it really just there for cool pictures?
Yeah.
If that's the case, I think Spartan should leave it in.
Yeah.
And then just don't count it as an obstacle.
I completely agree with that. That's kind of my outlook on it because it's always at the end, unless it's raining or some other weird reason why it's not lit or something.
Mm-hmm.
But it's always at the end. There's no way to magically cheat on that obstacle unless you completely bypass it or fall in it. And yeah, I mean, I think it's just there just because, I mean, it's Spartan's thing. They're almost not, I don't want to say their signature.
Thing.
Yeah, I don't want to say it's like their signature because, yeah, just like you said, Savage Race does it at the end too. It's not a thing. It's not an obstacle.
Yeah, if they just removed it as an obstacle but kept it there, people still get their beautiful pictures, and you don't have to worry about it affecting the pros.
Right, exactly.
Unless somebody falls in it.
that little mud run obstacle race that we did in Mississippi last year, the little local one, they had a fire jump, and it was randomly like in the middle of the course somewhere. So maybe then I would consider that an obstacle because like if you completely ran by it, then yeah, you're skipping an obstacle.
Right.
Then you're just running past it to get by, the person in front of you. But unless you're doing that with it, don't count it as an obstacle and don't penalize people for it.
Like we said, they could do that. I've seen somebody on Discord talk about how they could put the tape where it doesn't have to go right next to the fire, but you put it inwards so that it overlaps the path of the fire, but you just have a gap to where it doesn't burn up.
Right.
So it's still the running path makes it to where you can't go outside of the fire lanes, but you don't tear up your tape or whatever excuses David Magida wants to give everybody. Did you see that video?
No, I didn't see that video, but I saw it whenever I was at work. I just didn't have the sound on. I had to make it a point to watch it later.
Yeah, he interviews John Penland, and it did feel like, I don't know, I can't say it's his job or whose job it is to make that call, but it did feel like a little bit of a puff piece. Like, yeah, we want to make sure that we look good and not really talk about the issues too much.
Well, and I think the problem and I don't know that I would really consider this a problem because it's a good thing for the sport, but I think the issue that Spartan's having right now with all these rules is, they're trying to make it a legit competitive sport. So they're trying to, I guess, set the standard for, okay, so how are we going to penalize people for skipping obstacles or doing obstacles in such a way that gives them an advantage over other racers? How are we going to standardize this sport? And I think that's why they're catching a lot of flack with it because they're making all these calls and they're trying to further improve the sport and make it a legit sport, which is what we all want.
Yes, they are, and they're doing a decent job of it, but they do have ways to go. Yeah. Matt B. Davis just released an episode talking to Ryan and Ryan again. Ryan Atkins actually kind of addresses that too, just his thoughts on it. But there are answers to these problems. Spartan will get to them eventually, even though they're not getting to them as fast as we all would like them to. But they'll figure it out.
Yeah, and I think because they're really the only, or at least the biggest name that in OCR competition right now, I think that's why they're just getting a lot of attention for it. And I mean, somebody had to do it. somebody had to do it, so
Yeah.
somebody's going to catch some hell for it.
It was kind of cool to see the pictures on the second day. I didn't even notice this, but they added a little like traffic cone, not an orange cone, but a little triangle that you see out in front of trucks.
Mm-hmm.
Right, because the problem with that fire jump was it was around a bend. So right as you come off the monkey bars, you went around almost a 90-degree turn to the right, and then there was the fire jump. So that's why everybody, was right over the corner there. And you can even see in my picture, I'm literally right over the fire jump, and my body is leaning because I'm turning into that turn so hard that my right arm is not over the fire, but my feet are. So that was kind of a problem with the course setup, which is not a big deal, but since they want to call nitpicky rules, it's a big deal.
Yeah, that sounds like an awkward place to put the fire jump.
I ran well, but since I haven't been training so hard, I felt it more than I would expect. Couple days after, I was definitely more sore the second day and the few days after, which is so funny. It's like, having a consistent workout regimen, it makes a huge difference when you run constantly versus like I literally didn't run at all Monday through Friday the week before the race. So while I felt good running, like I felt fresh, my muscles weren't really up to it. I even got to the rope climb 7 miles into the race and went to climb up the rope and had a cramp in my calf.
Ooh.
And I was like, what the heck is this? This shouldn't be happening 7 miles in. This is something I expect to happen like after 30 miles, not 7. It makes a difference.
Yeah, the CrossFit class that I went to, they made it kind of like a race. Like we had to get on the ski erg and ski erg for 500 and then row for 500 and bike for 1,000 and then go for a mile run. And like all these other CrossFit athletes are like way used to getting on the ski erg and training on the rower and everything and training on the assault bike. And I was like, all right, well, if I can like hang close, I know I can get them on the run. So of course, like with as competitive as I am, even though it's just a class, I'm like, all right, I know these people don't know me from Adam, so I want to come up and and like surprise a couple of people.
Yeah.
So yeah, I went all out in that class.
Nice.
I went all out, and I had been, trying to stay consistent with like workouts and training and little things here and there, and I went all out, and I did get them on the run because they were like,
nice.
Where'd you come from? I heard some guy saying before the class started, oh, there's no way anyone's gonna drop an 8-minute pace. I'm like,
How long was the run?
It was just a mile.
Oh.
So yeah, this big CrossFit dude, he was like, yeah, there's no way anybody's gonna be dropping like 8-9 minute pace. I'm like, oh, okay. All right, challenge accepted.
That'd have been one thing if he said 6-7 minute pace, but to say 8-9 minute pace, come on.
I know. Yeah, so I was like, I was just sitting back listening, just quietly observing as I do. And they were like, where'd you come from? But yeah, I was actually surprised how much I didn't feel it the next day or the day after that. Like I expected to be a lot more sore because those aren't things that I'm used to doing as much.
Yeah.
But yeah, I guess like staying consistent and really staying on top of things, it's helped a lot.
Yeah, there you go. I've done the opposite and you've done well with that. So
So I'm sticking up for you, Miles. I'm trying to stick up for you.
So speaking of running and catching up with people, $1 Million Mile airs tonight for the first episode. Yeah. I'm super pumped about it. And there was a clip on Facebook or somewhere on YouTube that shows Emma Chapman her run against somebody, and it was the entire thing all the way up until like the very last obstacle. So it's a good 10-minute long video.
Yeah. I watched that same video. I didn't watch it with the sound on, but I did. I did watch that same video. It was stressful to watch that video because they gave the runner a 2-minute lead, right?
Yeah.
And then they kept counting down the lead every time Emma would like gain some time on her. And every time that
was really
lead
cool.
decreased, I was getting stressed out. I was like, oh, come
Yeah,
on, she's
I like
right
the
on your
way they
tail.
do it.
It was really cool.
Obviously, they cut it, at places, but you're seeing when they get to this marker, that's how much time it took them versus the other person. So you get to see how much of a lead they're getting on them or how much they're losing on them. And so, yeah, it's really cool to be able to see how close they're getting. And then one of the really unique things about it is that the obstacles aren't just all one in a row. They get to choose which ones they want to do. So I don't know if the course is actually a mile, depending on how you run the course, but it's all based out in the city layout. So depending on how you run it, it might actually be longer. I'm curious about that part, but you get to choose when to go for the finish after, you can do one obstacle or two obstacles and then go for the finish. And because you'll see that I'm sure they're telling you, hey, they're catching up. They're this far behind you. And so you get to bank some money if you make it out before they catch you. Now, obviously, you got to do all of them to get $1 million.
Right.
Really cool concept. I'm really excited to watch it tonight. Obviously, people won't hear this till later, but I'm going to try and stream it on Rabbit so that people that don't have cable or whatever, like me. Can, yeah. So check out I'll put the link out on Discord so you can watch it if you want. I think it's coming on at 8.
Yeah, if not, I'll just catch it on Hulu tomorrow.
I would like to go ahead and wrap it up here. What do you think?
I agree.
We've got nothing else to talk about.
I got nothing. That's it. Bye, y'all.
We're just gonna hang up right now, go to bed.
Drop the mic.
But seriously, to wrap this up, I don't have anything to say to wrap it up. Follow Listen and Talk. Go give us money so we can give you stuff.
Go and check out
Join
the Discord. Yes. Like I finally did.
Been ridiculous lately. Oh, thing I forgot to talk about. I made a bet with Josh Chase.
Oh, yeah.
From Obstacle Discourse with Davis and Chase. And he doesn't care too much for Hunter McIntyre. So I try to bring up Hunter on the Discord as much as I can to be silly and poke at him. And I told him, hey, let's make a bet. If I beat you in San Antonio at the Super, you make a channel for dedicated to Hunter on the Discord. He agreed as a good sport and allowed it to just go till, I think he said April 15th. So there, since I did beat him at the Super, there is a Discord channel just to talk about Hunter. So good or bad, and it has been ridiculous, as you can imagine. bit.ly/OCR Discord. Check that out. Come join us and talk and come in and just try not to get your feelings hurt because people are having fun and just saying all kinds of crazy stuff in there.
I try and check it as much as I can.
I know people are constantly talking in there all day. Speaking of my times at the Super and the Sprint, only being a 3-mile course, I finished in 38 minutes, which was the fastest I look back at my chronotrack times, the fastest I've ever finished a Spartan course. I think the sprints back in the day, like even the fast ones were over an hour. So it's crazy.
Nice. Crazy
the difference it's made with their standardization. We were talking about that the other day too, about how the rigs that you used to see were like, especially at the championship, were so crazy long. And now they're just, whatever. So there's that as well. But anyway, I'm trying to get into too much conversation. We're trying to cut this short. All right. Thanks for listening. Anything else?
Nope. That's all I got.
All right. Take it easy.
Bye, y'all.
I know, I see it. Yeah, there's elephants.